What's up guys, welcome back to another video. You may remember this ute, you may recognize it, it definitely has been on the channel before. It has been here for a tune prior. So at that stage, it was a bit of a rush job for power crews to get it ready. So it wasn't quite finished off properly. We had some issues with clutch as well. The clutch wasn't holding up with the power. So there are a few things that needed to be revisited, but we got it sort of running and tuned well enough to go to power crews. So since then, he's had a few issues with fuel pressure, basically steadily just dropping until there was nothing there. So it's brought it back out. It's got a new clutch in it now. It's pretty much, we're ready to turn it up a bit more, but most importantly was obviously there was an issue with the fuel system and it lost fuel pressure. Now, we pulled the module out, and a lot of you guys who are regulars on the channel will know, we previously have always used Raceworks submersible fuel hose, and we rag on and yap on about how important it is to actually use submersible fuel hose in a submersed, like in a fuel tank, because regular fuel hose is not designed to have fuel on the outside of it and it will break it down. So we always rag on about the importance of using the correct fuel line in the tank, as well as the correct heat shield and all the rest of that, because you can cause problems with it being in chemicals. So Raceworks stopped making their submersible fuel hose, which was a real problem for us, and it took us ages to try and hunt around and find some stuff that we could replace it with. And what we ended up finding, well, the only thing we could really get was some ProFlow submersible fuel hose. And what we found when we pulled it out was it did not react very well being in the tank. So we still have to talk to ProFlow about the issue. It is a bit worrying to us because obviously since such a time we have put quite a few fuel systems together using that ProFlow submersible fuel hose. So, that's a bit scary. The fact that this has come back, that fuel hose is swollen and split and caused a complete lack of fuel pressure. And unfortunately, we've ended up in this situation. So, bit worrying. But anyway, we'll get on to ProFlow, see what they have to say about it. But either way, the fuel system's now going to get revised. If you remember, we actually ended up putting a Raceworks 340 LPH pump in the in-tank pot and modified the pot to work. And essentially that was done just because it was all we really had in stock and it was a huge rush. But now that it's back, there's no rush. It's once, the customer wants it now done, properly, get some more power out of it now that we've got a better clutch and everything else. So we'll be doing a similar fuel system in this one now that we did to the black VY Ute with the surge tank, etc. So we'll get all that stuff together and pretty much get this thing ready to go hunt some more power and see how it goes. So looking forward to that. Rightio guys, so here goes the beginning of our fresh fuel system. So this, you've seen us use this surge tank on heaps of builds. We absolutely love these things. They're so awesome. They're from Aeroflow and they house a 40mm EFI internal or in-tank pump. So your Warbro 460, 525, your Raceworks EFP 501 and 500, they house really well in these surges. And that way you've got an internal pump in a surge tank. It's nice and quiet, keeps the pump cool, it's not loud and obnoxious, and they work freaking awesome. So we're a big fan, as you can tell. So we got that, as well as a Warbro 525, because the decision has been made to put this thing on straight E85. So single Warbro 525 should provide us plenty of fuel for what we want to do with this car. So as well as that, obviously all of our fittings that we require and everything from Raceworks, all the beans. So those surge tanks fit really well in these utes up under the floor here, right next to the tank. So you've got out of your tank, a lift to the surge, return straight back to the tank, and then this one has a regulator up in the engine bay and then a return line. So super simple. Much like, if any of you remember the black VY Ute we did almost the identical fuel system in another ute that was a VY. And what Rex actually did was, in the factory fuse and relay box in the Commodore, there are some spare slots for relays and fuses. So Rex actually even wired the extra relay and fuse required for the high pressure pump into the factory fuse box, so that everything was, factory inside that fuse box and looked really neat and tidy. It was really good. So gonna try and do the same thing here. Basically try and do essentially what is exactly the exact same fuel system, just with a slightly bigger pump for E85 and turbo. And yeah, keen to see what this thing does now with this new clutch. Righto guys, so here you have a look at what we were talking about with our fuel system. So, as you can see, lift pump in the pot, feeds to the surge. Surge obviously feeds with some 200 series back and joins onto the original feed. And then our return from the surge goes back to the pot. And it's all happy days. And then we've got our return to the surge here. So Rex just made up these brackets to mount it back here. So it's all plumbed up, pretty well ready to go. So one thing we did realise though, is what we did on the black VY using that stock factory relay block was all well and good for that, because we just put a Raceworks 340, I think it was EFP 501 in that car, and at 98, you know, on 98 with that sort of fuel demand and that pump, it's not a huge amount of amperage, but what we found out is that these standard relay blocks are only rated for, what was it, 20 amps? 16 amps. So they're not rated for a lot of amperage. So for a Walbro 525 on E85 with this much fuel delivery, it's not going to be happy. So unfortunately, we can't do what we did on the last one and make it all nice and stock in the stock factory fuse box. We do have to actually just put a standard fuse block, or relay block I should say, and a 30 amp relay to run that pump at least. So that's a shame, but it is what it is. Not a huge deal. Just got to go shopping today and get a few things to finish it off and wire it in, and then this thing will be ready to hit the dyno on some E85. We've got the fuel system sorted. It's pretty much ready to go. E85's in, Rex is flushed, E85 tune in. It starts and runs. We are sweet. But I haven't showed you underneath this car because we haven't have a good look underneath this car because we've never actually had it on a hoist until now. So you can have a good look at this turbo setup. So as you can see, pretty standard extractor on this side comes down to the crossover and goes up and into the other side. So this is where our wastegate is. It's actually off the crossover, which is something we were a bit worried about when it first came here the first time, if you go and watch that video, but it actually worked out all right, and boost control wasn't really a big issue, which was nice. And then you've got air exhaust, and as we talked about, it's only 3-inch, which would normally limit it, but they are running this pneumatic valve with the side pipe off the side. But once this is open, you've only got this much 3-inch back to here, and then from here obviously you've got, it splits out into 2 separate 3 inches essentially. So being such a short run of 3-inch, we're hoping that won't really cause any problems for us for our power goals. But one thing we have noticed is this is obviously meant to shut on vacuum and then open on boost. That's the way it works. It's the way the valve is. But the line that they've connected to the nipple is way too small for the size of the nipple, and it had split. And as we've gone to fix it there, where it was just run over the top of the exhaust pipe, as you can see, it's all split and cracked and wrecked. So going to get some new vac line, try and step it up to the right size, and then use some of our Raceworks heat sleeving to try and protect it from this pipe a bit as best we can. Might even be able to maybe put a P-clamp up in here to try and keep it up high. But yeah, it's in a bit of a difficult spot, but we'll try and fix it as best we can. And then after that, this thing's ready to hit the rollers. See what it'll do. It is a disgustingly hot day today though. Whew. Rightio guys, so we were going all good, everything was happy days, we were just starting to creep up. Well, I say that, but we remember now from last time, shortly after Rex started tuning this, where that gate position is, we did actually have a lot of issues with the boost control, just trying to get it smooth, because of the gate being only essentially diverting the gas from one bank, because it's in the crossover. It makes it very, very hard to actually get boost control nice and smooth. So that is going to be a problem. We'll just see how it goes when we can finally get further with it. We may get to a point where we just have to pull it up because it won't behave past a certain point. But we were just creeping up to 600 horsepower at the wheels type deal. We've got a run there that's 590, and we're starting to lose fuel pressure. Yay. So there is absolutely no reason that anything that we've done in this new system should be dropping pressure. We've got monstrous wire to the fuel pump, plenty of pump, plenty of relay. You know, by all accounts, it should be fine. So what our theory is at the moment is that the standard Commodore fuel filter is just not coping with this sort of fuel demand. Unfortunately, we don't have the fittings that we need to bypass it or put another filter in there just to test our theory. So the best thing we can do at the moment is we've just chucked an adapter with a pressure gauge in the line before the filter, so that we can see that, you know, if it's maintaining pressure this side of the filter but dropping pressure on the other side of the filter, well then we know that our problem is the filter, which we're pretty certain that's what it's going to be. So I'm going to sit in the tray and watch this. guys, yeah, that time the pressure stayed pretty well, like both ends, front and back. It didn't actually lean out the way it did before, which is very, very strange. Those 2 runs, no leaning out at all. If it was an issue with the filter, I would expect that it wouldn't be an issue that comes and goes like that. That wouldn't make a whole lot of sense if it was just a flow issue with the filter. It should just do it anytime that fuel demand's there, not just, you know, after a few runs or whatever happens. But the drop in pressure was very severe. When it was dropping in pressure, it's generally what we see when, you know, a pump's on the way out or something, which obviously being a brand new pump, it shouldn't be. Also, the severity of the wiring that was used, it also shouldn't be. So yeah, it's an odd one. We're out of time today though, so we'll just have to wait and see what it does on Friday, because it's Australia Day tomorrow. So get back into it Friday and see if we can figure out what the hell's going on. It's a very weird one though. It's very strange. Not what we were expecting. Righto guys, so it's Australia Day. Not dynoing, but we figured while we've got a chance, we'll pull this module back out and just modify it a little bit more. Not that we reckon it's being the problem, just how it's behaving. But we figured we'd just pull it out and check it anyway. And I figured while we got it out, I'll show you what we did with replacing that hose, which was the fuel pressure issue to start with. So we've replaced it with these lengths of plastic PTFE hose. And it looks as though this is pretty much moving forward the only way to guarantee that you're gonna have a submersible fuel hose that's actually rated and gonna last. So we're just gonna start moving away from trying to use rubber altogether, submersed in tank. It's just all gonna be this stuff now. So you can buy this stuff from Raceworks. Profile also make it as well. And yeah, we're just completely moved away from rubber hose altogether. But anyway, Rex is just drilling some more holes in the bottom of the pot to ensure that it fills easier. Although, like I said, we don't think that is our particular issue at the moment.
No, well, the fuel level's actually still over the top of the pot. So
definitely not the issue, but we just figured while we can't make noise today and stuff, we'll just go through and check all of the things that we can, so that tomorrow we've got obviously a bit of a plan of attack of exactly what to check and change and do to ensure that it doesn't keep having this issue, because it's very, very annoying. As tuners, we know all too well how annoying it is. So frustrating that we're even having it at all to begin with a completely new fuel system. So hopefully we can figure it out. Righto guys, so since doing that pot modification that we did yesterday, we have not had any issues with fuel pressure today so far. So confusing and frustrating. I wish we could be sure, but without it doing it, I guess we have to assume that it's fixed. But yeah, I don't know, it's frustrating and annoying, but it appears that it's not doing it anymore. We've just done, you know, about another 8 dyno runs and it hasn't done it at all. So not sure what the go is, but we have got some great results out of this thing. Yeehaw. So Rex played around with the sensitivity on the E-boost, and on the higher boost settings managed to get this boost curve a lot nicer. Don't mind this power curve. This is before we put the 3rd strap around the diff just to hold it in place. So after putting the 3rd strap on, we've got a nice smooth power curve. But as you can see, 720 at the wheels. And another interesting thing to note is on the low boost, you can see here, it's running out to about 220, just over 220 Ks an hour on the wheel speed. But the high boost, we're only running to 215 Ks an hour. But the limiter is set the same and both runs will run right out to limiter, which means that on the high boost, we are losing some to slip. We've got X amount of slip, which means that probably on a hub, you'd be looking at 750 horsepower on the hubs at a minimum, I'd say, which for a old stock bottom end 5.7 is it's pretty freaking staunch. So yeah, that's happy days, really good results. The owner's absolutely wrapped. I just sent him a photo. His head's spinning, he's over the moon. So yeah.
I just love these G42s.
Yeah, the G, yeah,
so good.
Gotta say, these Pulsar Turbo, the G42s, they're just, whew. So far, we've been loving them, but yeah.
I'm just really happy that I managed to find some settings that have
cleaned the boost,
gotten rid of that nonsense, and it's actually not too bad now. So that's that's what I'm happiest about.
Yeah.
Because that was bothering me a lot.
Happy days.
Very bothersome. All right, now on to
the HG.
hopefully we have some luck with that one too.
Yes. So anyway, that's pretty much this thing wrapped up. Awesome result. E85, G42, bloody awesome combo. But yeah, you'll be seeing this thing around for sure if you're around Queensland. I think he plans on taking it to power crews and stuff. So yeah, be good to see it out there. Yeehaw. Thanks for watching as always, guys. Don't forget to head to the merch store. Check out the merch. Go into the draw to win yourself a car for as little as $10. Smash like, smash subscribe so you don't miss anything. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one. Peace out. See you. Bye.